Hello, hello. Good morning. Welcome to another, metaphysical reflection, thought, introspection with you as my mirror. I don't really expect anybody to listen to these, but so I've been thinking a lot about, you know, the nature of our spiritual evolution and our place in the world. And it's not easy to map the territory at all. This is kind of like when you try to really understand how the world works. And I studied Rudolf Steiner's spiritual hierarchies, try to use analogy between power structures and the way things operate on Earth, and read various esoteric things, trying to understand how this works. How are we incarnated? Where do we go when we die? Is it a loop? Do people come back? Are there people watching over us? I think that stuff is real, but it takes work and a certain kind of person and a certain way of living to run into that. I've lived a very blessed, well, nobody would think it was blessed. It's been a rough one, but it's blessed for me because I've been able to take the time to, this is what my life is. I sit, I think, I read. That's what I do. And hello, kitten. And, you know, we've been screwed over the past 100 years. There's been a replacement that's gone on where knowledge of the spiritual realms and the mystical is kind of thrown on the back burner, and it's all demonic, it's all evil. And by doing that, you're also throwing out the good. And now, in replacement of a god and a regular spiritual practice, we worship work and our possessions, and that's what life is, as opposed to a monastic or a parish-based way of living. This is also highly subjective, so this is just me. Here in California, it's pretty secular. I'm grateful for it. It's allowed me to explore way into places that I don't think people normally have gotten into for hundreds of years. But my point being is we've been screwed over by the factory owners. You work, you go to the factory, you go home. All these wars since World War One have not allowed for a large group of humans to literally just reflect and contemplate. And what that's done is it's blinded the culture. Those who would be able to lead with a healthy, God-inspired outlook now are, I think that's a kind of a rare thing to touch the hand of God and, come to deeper understanding. Luckily, there's, it gets into the right hand and the left hand path. You know, you can do the right hand path and follow the book by the rules, and you're gonna do fine, but you're gonna be very ill-informed upon the greater totality, in my opinion. I haven't found many people that are able to speak upon anything beyond our mundane worldly life. And it's for the best. But, you know, there's people out there like myself that aren't satisfied with, you got to learn it for yourself. And I think that's what the left hand path is about. You know, you dive into the depths of the divine with nobody holding your hand, no guidance. It's you and the one. And you got to take responsibility for that. And I'm blessed enough to have a good family that supports me, and not in that way. They support me, you know, so I don't lose my mind, because there's times where, you know, I thought I've been going insane, and I probably was, and it fries your mind. It's ineffable trying to captivate, you know, the one and try to put it into words. But luckily, I have a strong enough constitution and belief in myself that, you know, I didn't immediately think I'm schizophrenic and I gotta go to the hospital and that's it. You know, it's like, nope, this is, you hold on to that core inner eye and you go along for the ride. And it's been a hell of a ride. And this is pretty much the second serious year. I kind of think of it like self-initiation, because I study all the esoteric and, you know, initiation and these secret societies. I haven't joined anything. That's not my way. I want to figure it out for myself on my own. It's the most dangerous way, without a doubt, but uh, it's also the most authentic, I think. And a lot of studying Rudolf Steiner, Theosophy. I started on the path away from God. I didn't believe God was real, and I was reading these texts as like, these are human people having human experiences of the ineffable. And then I think what that does is that leads to the more, you're in the Jing leads, you're with the devils and demons, and it was just like the rope broke, and I was in the ocean of the unknown, and dealing with a lot of clairaudience, a lot of, I mean, so I had never read the Bible, but I was suddenly able to quote Bible verses and getting all sorts of uh, religious thoughts and ideas and visions and dreams and experiences. And it was very intense. And I mean, it's very easy to tell which is the dark and which is the light now. It's, my discernment is much stronger than it was. Because realistically, I was basically diving into this thing spiritually blind. And our society needs people to do this kind of thing. Oh, what's up, nobody? I can't believe I got a viewer. How are you? And it's you start to understand that the societal construct is it's the fence lining around reality that keeps you in the box and doing what everybody else wants, but you can go outside those bounds, but you're in no man's land. And there's a lot of interesting stuff in no man's land. It's not nothingness. That dark ocean is glad to hear it. That dark ocean has a lot of information and stuff to it, and beingness, and it's we've been screwed over by not being allowed to think of and experience this kind of stuff, and it's a detriment to the greater whole of society, I feel, because people will try to, those boundaries are there to keep everybody safe, but by the nature of human experience and the way you want to see what's on the other side, and that's where people like myself will just do it on their own. They'll be like, I'm not going to listen to anybody, I'm just going to figure it out, I'm going to find out. And it's what our society needs. I mean, that's what the new age is people finding out what this stuff is without any guardrails, and that is dangerous. I really think I basically ran into the demonic world and I got my ass handed to me. I got kicked around, and I've spent the last year and a half zombified, barely ate. I really lost my inner self for a while, but it's a place where a lot of people, I think, you can sell your soul and become, it was very strange. It was like, it didn't make sense. So it was like the whole world was put on a platter. And it was like, well, what do you want? Do you want to become great? You want to become some master? And I'm literally nobody. I'm just a person. No reason why I should have been offered any of this stuff. So I was very hesitant, because I know how the world works. You don't get anything for free. I'm just trying to be a map maker. And yeah, it's been very rough on the self, because a lot of the experiences of the divine, I realized, even though I was able to see it, the people around me were totally unaware. And it's impossible to ground yourself without other people recognizing it with you. And I think that's why a lot of people go insane and get put in mental hospitals and things like that. They're not necessarily crazy, but they're experiencing something that is out of the realm of normality. And I saw YouTube. Exactly, we're nobody because we're everybody. It's an Islamic idea of where you become nothing and then you become everything, and it's very hard to be nothing. I mean, it's because in that nothingness, everythingness, you're like, oh my God, I want to totally. You want to become the everything, but you're just a little human body, and it's not easy. And I think that's where like a lot of musicians, movie stars, etc., go into like this place of they eventually sell themselves because they become nobody, and they're so bent on achieving their goals that they let they haven't solidified their self knowledge of self enough to realize that if you just keep on marching, it's much better than grabbing onto somebody else's coattails. Because generally, they're not looking out for you when you do that. That's how people get used and abused, sadly. And yeah, and I think that's in these experiences where you're able to define the difference between the divine and the evil. The divine allows you to experience it. It'll always have you connected by a rope, but as soon as you have voices, for example, or opportunities and people that come in to that experience and start offering you things and like offering guidance without asking for it, that you're starting to deal with demonic forces. And yeah, there's a lot of people that just want to slam a sticker and say, "Oh, this is evil. This is evil." But this is the the place where true novelty and new ideas and unique perspectives come from, and we're totally lacking that. I think our culture is crumbling because there's, I don't want to say a hatred, but it's like put down to like you're not, it's not accepted to think on your own like that. And yeah, see where else I'm going here. We're coming up on 20 minutes, so I might leave it another short reflection and do a number of these today. But I think this is what Gnosticism is and why it's heretical. It's a heresy because much like in Islam, that all these interesting self-discoveries spaces are heretical. You're not supposed to be able to be one with the divine. That's not how they want it to work, because then everybody would be everybody, and there's no power structure that can be upheld on that fundamentally. And I think that needs to change, because we're so far developed, and the power structures are so hardened, they're not going to go anywhere. Christ can stand on his own 2 feet. That's been proven over 2,000 years. It wouldn't be around if that wasn't the case. And we need to reinvigorate the idea that everybody is part of this. That no one person should be denied. Until like they're like tearing the place up, I guess, maybe, and even then leave it to God to decide. It's not our place to be judging. Like, you could help somebody if you think they're falling off, because there's a lot of crazies. There's a lot of crazies, and it's a shame. I think a lot of the times people go crazy because it's a state where your mind is no longer the most powerful thing. You're working from like your crown chakra. You're working from ineffable spirit energy. And if there was, you know, I think psychologists and psychology has a long way to go, because you're dealing with irrationality in psychology at the fundamental. The people do not operate in rational ways generally. I mean, the animalistic part of human nature is totally irrational, and we've taken a very long time through history to create this, you know, surrounding core that's able to keep that in line, which is very necessary. But it's become crystallized to the point where now it's there's no room for growth, and I think that's kind of breaking people's spirit and leading to despondency, and you know, they're desperate. And if psychology, there was a way to interlink, uh, you know, mythological, like Carl Jung was really the one who's doing this. There aren't psychologists like Carl Jung anymore. They're just talk therapists. But where you start involving archetypes and you're diving deep into somebody's subconscious, if you're able to give them an externalized mythological explanation for what they're going through, they will latch onto that so quickly, because it's a guiding principle. And that's really what Christianity is about at its core. These are guiding principles, and there's a way to do it in a secular fashion, but there needs to be that like interface. And I think it's starting to happen. I mean, based on the content I view and the way things are going, this whole idea of about ascension and 3D to 5D is we're all collectively diving into that collective unconscious. And because one of the strangest things, when I first started learning about ascension, it was not a Christian idea. And then, suddenly a year or two ago, it was like I started seeing preachers talking about ascension and stuff, and it's like, oh well, that makes a lot more sense, because we're going from the material world into the forever. That concept has been around, but it was secularized, and that's how I caught on to the idea. But it's not fluid enough. The idea of eternalism in Christianity it doesn't make sense. I mean, I think reincarnation and periods that so you harden your energy body and your etheric body, your astral body, mental body. You harden that over your lifetime, and then you die, and then you have your etheric astral body in the afterlife for depending on how long you spent hardening it and uh, like crystallizing it. You have that in the afterlife, for however long you've hardened it. In Islam, they talk about there's sheikhs who will do 70 years of prayer in like I think it was one Ramadan period, so 1 month. It might have even been like one day is 70 years of your prayer is basically uh, crystallizing that intention of yearning for God, and therefore He's going to allow you to have that afterlife period for a set amount of time. Because if we only live 70 years, and living 70 years to trade for an eternal lifetime sounds honestly much more like a demon is taking your soul and you're going to hell. It doesn't seem like a fair trade. Eternal is a long time. I would much rather have a cycle. I spend 70 years here, and then realistically like 130 or however long from the fifth dimension as a non uh, I don't want to say disembodied spirit, but I guess that's kind of what it is. A non-physical form, and that's one of the most dangerous parts of this whole fifth dimension manifestation thing is that, when people are manifesting, where is that coming from? How do you know that's God working with you? Are you just selling chunks of yourself to Satan, and that's how you're getting your car or whatever the hell you're manifesting? And that's something that's not taught. And based on our culture, I mean, it's very easily could be just selling your soul off, and that's how you're manifesting. Because realistically, like if you are doing manifestation work and that sort of thing, you're not you're not a millionaire. You're not a very like settled person. You're probably kind of like uh, a hippie traveler, open-minded, wandering soul. Yes, that's what the channel's about. It's not about rebuilding houses. It's repairing the earth grid and healing the soul. Because it kind of detour here, but what's happened in the past 100 years with all the world wars and the really like we jumped from one way of life of the Middle Ages, kind of peasantry, living on the land, into this totally new way of living of factories, uh, automobiles, to the point now where there's almost no connection to nature. Uh, like we honestly destroy and kill a lot more stuff to build than we put back into the earth. I mean, all the natural landscapes that have been annihilated. When you look at like the Hong Kong Peninsula, might not be, maybe it's Shanghai, but where that whole cityscape is now used to just be a marshland, and it's just like a freaking, now it's this enormous cityscape. And you can build a cityscape pretty much anywhere, but you can't replace a natural like marsh wetland, or that's like totally what's it called? I forget there's like a witchcraft terminology. Um, it's the spirit of place. Like you can't rebuild the spirit of that specific place. once it's been destroyed. But the thing is, we have like the capability to totally be like, why don't we build a floating city in like San Francisco Bay, for example, or some like even the middle of the ocean? That's way less reasonable, but like using our human creative ability to build something that's unique instead of just a cookie cutter, 5-bedroom house times 100 on, in Texas they have those like, it's just the same house next to the same house for hundreds of houses. Humans are weird. Humanity, life's weird. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna try to get to 40 minutes on this topic because I don't want to mix too many different ideas into one video. But the fifth dimension transformation needs people who think differently but are not totally insane and like out of their mind. It needs like grounded construction of an ideal. And I like Christianity, but I think it should stay its own thing. And I don't think, I think they're two separate ideas. And like the New Age phenomenon, it's there, but I don't think it's like unified in a perspective, really. It's kind of everybody like touches that reality and has their own way of explaining it, but it's not being well defined. I mean, now New Age could be called woke, and just like any other extraneous idea. It doesn't have like a solid. It's not like we're becoming a spacefaring civilization. That's what the New Age is, or we're becoming, stewards of the earth again, and we're giving up this like mechanized 9 to 5 factory life, factory living. Because basically, we're just like ants in a human factory. There's not much room for like true growth and like it's mechanized. That's what I was talking about, the 1900s and to now, this transition. The the Rockefeller idea of just making everybody getting like the education system, the factories, the all these things to basically you're just building a good worker instead of like building a humanized culture. But it's very necessary, and we're very blessed actually from that way of thinking because it's organized. I mean, it's built the most grand new civilization. I mean, society didn't change for 1,500 years after Christ. It was basically the same thing. I forget how long Akhenaten's Egyptian civilization lasted. It was like 3,000 years of steady, just, that's what people did. It's very interesting when you start studying civilizations like that. Like, America's been around for like 400 years. And with this Pluto return that's going on, it's, we're in the, it's like, what do we want to be? Are we going to stay on this path and harden it in, for another total astrological cycle? Or are we going to, bring it back to what America was when we founded it? Are we going to shatter it? Is it no longer going to exist? I think it'd be very important to get back to the roots of America. More liberty, less nanny state. You know, I don't want to say tear down the government. In my last video, I talked about how you uh, you need the government there. People generally are too dumb. It's not easy to be a good statesman at all. And it's something you don't want to do that. It's being a movie star, but all you get is hate. And you're just you're in a suit. You're a guy I mean, the whole reason that we have lobbyists and everything is there's people that want to be president and whatever, but they don't want to deal with the fame that goes with it. The fame is such a corrupting thing. Most people just want to live their life, but have a say. And when you have a lot of money, you're gonna just pay people to do your work instead of electing yourself and putting it on your own shoulders. But yeah, this is the other aspect of the fifth dimension transformation. And I think why we have surveillance is because if you're going to have the idea of non-physical entities and portals and shit, you want to be able to see where these people are going. You want to know, it's are they being abducted? Are they going to another dimension? And I think it's very possible with technology that, if you go through a portal with your cell phone, you can map that somehow. And I've gone between dimensions. So this kind of happened with I don't even know if you call it awakening or God held me by the hand and dragged me across the lake. But I walked my neighborhood because I don't drive anymore. And one day I walked on a loop, and all of the houses and all of the cars were different. And so, no, I take that back. It was the houses were the same, the layout was the same, but none of the cars were the same. There were different flags. There was different decorations in the yard. It was totally different. And and then I got home, and then the next day I went on a walk, and it was back to normal. I was I think I was literally in a different dimension. And I remember when I did that walk, I walked by this plant, and it smelled hideous. I've never smelled a plant that smelled like that. And actually, I read it's a book by George Orwell, and he's in Burma, and I think he's with a British royal, and they're running in the jungle, frolicking. Imagine frolicking now. Do people frolic anymore? Yes. Love fulfills the requirements of gods. Yes. That's why I think love is a strange thing, though. I'm not sure I've felt love. Okay, so I've been getting psyoped by all this narcissist talk, and I don't really have. I have one friend, and it's very easy because I'm open and self-observant. I'm am I a narcissist? Is that why I've had such a hard time with relationships? And love is a very weird thing because I think I've felt love, but it was 15 years ago, and that it might have been it's one of my first girlfriends. I'm 29, 30. So this is in early high school. Yeah, I think I was like staying over at my girlfriend's house and was like, damn, that's love. And yeah, I haven't felt that in a long time. And who's to say, is that love or is that just like lust energy? Yeah, it isn't. It wasn't lust energy though. I think that was love. But it's a very like it's horrible to say, but I don't think I love my family. Yeah, like yeah, that's kind of dark that you took me down that path. But I'm just being honest, man. It's hard to be honest, but it does good things for the mind and soul. Because when you lie, you're just lying to yourself, and then you freaking get all spun out. Well, this is about 40 minutes. Bless you, miss, for sticking around for 40 minutes as I just kind of ramble. That's fun. Nice to have you along, but this is mostly for me and God. Just another chat, and thanks for joining me, and see you next time. Peace.